But first, looking back and looking forward, charting the course for the University of Toledo. UT President Dr. Sharon Gaber stopping by our studios this past week. We covered a myriad of topics, but her reflection on her years at the helm, that's where we start.
Oh, it's been fantastic. I think the people of Toledo have been fantastic. The campus has really worked hard together. So in the past year, we put together a strategic plan. We have a master plan that was approved.
A lot of plans.
We did a strategic enrollment plan. So a lot of it has been, okay, what's the plan for where we're headed, making sure people are clear on that, making sure we had broad participation, and then making sure that we had the right leadership group in place. The Faculty Senate has been excellent to work with. The student government has been excellent to work with. So really it's shoring up relationships and making sure that we are able to work together and make progress for the future.
You had a lot on your plate when you first came here 2 summers ago, and a couple of weeks ago you sent out a video letter to students, faculty, staff, friends of the university. And Dr. Gaber, boy, that painted an awfully rosy picture of the University of Toledo. Like, it's all good. It's all good going forward,
good,
right?
yes.
I mean, but we all know there's a lot on the plate there. There are economic challenges, and you had to make some difficult decisions. So in going forward, would you say the most positive thing is that enrollment has increased for the first time in over a half-decade? Would that be the one thing is this video letter came out, that this would be the most positive thing?
I would say that's been very important to us. And what I'd say is a lot of our indicators were not heading in the direction that you would want them to. So enrollment is up, our fundraising is up, our new research grants are up. And so we're looking at all of these things and saying, okay, what does that mean for the university? And then you think about that, what does that mean for the broader community? And it's a positive thing. So we have to continue those trends. I keep telling people, obviously 1 year is not a trend. We need multiple years in that direction. And, you know, we've set out in the strategic plan to talk about becoming 100 public research university. That's an ambitious goal for us.
A very lofty goal. From where the university honestly is now, where it has been, toward the bottom in that the gold standard of magazine rankings. Of course, the U.S. News and World Report ranking. We talked about this 2 summers ago, how you're going to raise this ranking. And recently you said we want to break that top 100. From where you are now, and I think it's 133 out of 189 in public universities, correct? So you got a tough road to hoe.
We do. We have work, because everybody else is trying to make progress also. It's not like they're sitting still and we're the only ones moving forward. But what we know is we have to improve graduation rates. We have to improve our reputation. That's a big part of the score, is how do other people perceive the university?
How did you perceive it before you came here?
I perceived it as a strong, comprehensive research university that probably needed some help in terms of enrollment and fundraising and research, and those are the things that we're working on. And you know, we've worked closely with marketing and communications. How are we telling our story? So part of the thing that was in the video is we're proactively telling that story, and it's being cited more frequently out there nationally, which is very positive, and locally.
For a number of years, I always like to go to the sports analogy, but I'm going to talk about Comerica Park in Detroit. For a number of years, the University of Toledo has been on the outfield wall. Right? You've advertised out there, advertised on radio, and turn that degree into a job, I think was the slogan a couple of years ago. And I like to think you want it to be more than a job, turn it into a career. Correct?
Correct, yes.
And in going forward, not just a job, but charting the path toward somebody can make a good living when they walk out of here, right?
Correct. And you probably saw also, I mean, in the northern Ohio, we are, in this region, we're number 2 in the state in terms of social mobility, and number 1.
That's what that means.
So that means taking a student where he or she is when they come in, and the value added of the college degree, what does that mean, and where is their starting salary? So we are adding a lot to students. And the example last year was the young man who was picked up on LinkedIn. He had posted that he has an internship with Boeing in St. Louis. LinkedIn saw his posting, got excited, and actually had him come to their corporate headquarters in California and did a campaign around him, because he said, I had no idea I'd go to college, get a job. Based on where I was coming in, I didn't think that all of this would be possible. So we have outstanding students coming in, but some of them don't come from large, high economic means, but in fact, there's great value added and they're out getting great jobs.
Okay, social mobility. Okay,
right.
Let's talk about moving forward here now, the cost of college education. Tuition will be frozen again this year,
correct.
Right?
And next year.
As mandated by the state, correct?
Correct, yes.
Right?
Yes.
But going forward, meal plans are up a little bit, right?
2%, yes.
And you want sophomores to stay on campus. Tell us why.
We have gone with the trend in Ohio of a second year of residency on campus. That's for students outside of the Toledo metropolitan area, so students who come from an area beyond 25 miles, because what the data shows is that if they live on campus a second year, in fact, they're going to have better rates of retention. And the analogy is you can see the library, you actually go visit the library. So a lot of Ohio State has it, Bowling Green has it, Ohio University, and we looked at all of the data and the trends and said, we want our students to succeed also. So this is a best practice. We'd like that to occur. It also creates then a vibrant campus. We're going to have additional programming associated with it. So it's meant to create vibrancy. It's meant to enhance retention efforts, and we'll have more things going on.
And in turn, get that ranking up, right?
It's all interrelated, yes. It will lead. Retention is important to lead to graduation. Graduation rates are an important component of that ranking.
And when a freshman comes in, you don't want them just driving back to Sylvania, never coming back to the university. You want them to come back and become engaged, correct?
Well, correct, but I want to say a student in Sylvania is welcome to live at home because they're within that 25 miles. Right, yes,
right?
Yeah. So, but we want students to be engaged on campus, and for every student, there is an opportunity for them, whether it's a club or an organization or doing research with a faculty member or working with peer mentors. We want to help find the niche for every student.
All right, we're going to come back on Conklin and Company in just a minute, segment number 2 with Dr. Sharon Gaber, president of the University of Toledo, in just a minute. Welcome back, everyone. Conklin and Company continues now. Continuing our conversation with Dr. Sharon Gaber, president of the University of Toledo. And Dr. Gaber, we've talked about enrollment that has gone up for the first time in the last half decade, or 6
years.
6 years, right? Anticipating another enrollment increase this fall.
Yes,
correct?
We are. Correct.
And with that, I don't think it's any mystery out there that you're in line to get another bonus, right? Another bonus come this fall, right?
Right. It would come with the end of the year, so it was July 1. I've asked that it be deferred, correct?
Are quantified,
yes.
And it would be the second $90,000 bonus that you'd be in line to get. And with the cost of college education, and that a University of Toledo student could come out of 4 years of staying on campus with $80,000, conceivably if they never paid a bill, in debt, 80 to 100 grand in debt. How do you make people okay with that?
I don't know that I will, because I think it's hard for people to understand. Everything we do, and it's my compensation, football coaches, anyone else, it's benchmarked to who are the peers associated. So I can't sit and say I'm obviously pleased that the board thought that was appropriate.
Your bosses think you are doing a great job.
And that was in the contract that I had when I came, so it wasn't a surprise that that's something that, but people won't understand that. On the other hand, you go to California, you go to North Dakota, you go to Florida, and you go to Connecticut, and that's what university presidents, that's what's occurring. So
it is what the market is? Is that what you're saying?
That is correct. Yeah. And I do want to say, we continue to look at what student indebtedness looks like. Our student indebtedness, now in part because our tuition has been frozen for a number of years, our student indebtedness, because I just asked for this data within the past day or two, has gone down over the past 2 years. So we're looking at that, and I've asked now, the follow-up question I, of course, asked is, tell me how that compares in Ohio and nationally, but our numbers are heading down because that's important, and that's been part of the goal associated.
We talked, once again, I go back to when you first got here, we talked about retention.
Correct.
Freshman retention, and then graduation from through 6 years. I think that's the
6-year graduation rate, yes.
And it's at 41%. It's still nowhere near where it needs to be.
Correct.
So does it all go toward that engagement? The sophomore living on campus. I mean, talk about going forward, increasing that graduation rate, that retention rate that will in turn get that ranking up once again?
Well, and I think we've done a number of steps, but it's really pulling it all together. We talked a little bit, I think, 2 years ago about the success coaches, and really they started 3+ years ago, just over 3 years ago, and that's the extra set of adult eyes that are saying, have you registered, have you taken your finals, what are you doing, make sure you come back. So we have faculty advisors, academic advisors, and we have success coaches. Not every school has that complete mix. We now have our new provost, who started last July, has put together a retention committee to look at what are the factors that we have to pay attention to. You probably saw a month ago we just got a grant from Great Lakes Trust, and looking at, here's the opportunity to provide small grants to students for things other than tuition. If you need a $500 grant for housing or for books or for personal expenses, your vehicle to get to and from, we were competitively selected in that, so we have some additional resources to be able to assist students. And we know there are a number of factors that keep students from being able to come back. What we're trying to do is attack each one.
Right. And it's important to connect with parents so they know to get with their kids, here's what you need to do to get that $500, right? You have to take that initiative.
Right.
If it's there, you have to go grab it. I'm going to veer off a little bit here and talk about the research. Lake Erie, right? And biomedicine. You really want to become this world-class research university. Why do you think we perhaps weren't considered that years back? And the reason you want to increase it?
Yeah, and what I'd tell you is, in fact, our research funding had been higher. We've in fact it declined over a few years, and that's why when I got to campus and I said, we have a medical college, we have a pharmacy college, we have a great college of natural science and math. I mean, we have engineering, those are naturals to be getting federal, state funding for research and pushing this further. And so that's important. And our College of Medicine and Life Sciences, their research levels declined a little bit over the past few years. So that's part of it, is talking about, why is this important? It's important in part, first of all, you think about its economic development, because if there's a researcher and they're bringing in assistants to work on projects, there's a multiplier effect there in terms of bringing in new people. It's potentially commercializable information or patents that could come out and have spin-offs. And it's also important because whatever knowledge or technology or product might come out, then other universities, other companies think about what's been developed here. I read an article this morning about something that UT was working on, and I think it was more than a decade ago, associated with it was effectively birth control for deer, right? So that was an interesting idea. We weren't actively involved in it right now, but we had been a pioneer associated with the work that was being done.
What are you going to do on this NCAA Athletic Committee as the representative of the MAC? What's Dr. Gaber's role in that?
Well, so it's a president's forum. Each athletic conference has a president that represents the athletic conference. So as they discuss issues, I would be the MAC's representative to that. So I haven't had a meeting yet, so I can't tell you exactly, but I got a letter from the NCAA saying they were looking forward to having me.
Last question. Voluntary buyouts, 120 people this year. A lot of pain over the 2 years to get the financial house in order.
Correct.
Any more of those coming down the road that you can divulge here? Are we done restructuring at the University of Toledo?
I'm hoping we are. I mean, what we're looking for is continued growth. If there are things, the positive thing was the voluntary separation program allowed individuals who were thinking about this, who met all of the requirements for retirement, to leave as they might want to, and they got a little bit of a buyout to do that. And so rather than...
I think you spent $4.3 million to...
Right. Rather than have to say, we're terminating or there are layoffs, which leaves people feeling like, well, you know, how awful is that?
Voluntary separation.
That's what it, you know, so if I've worked there for 30 years and I was thinking about it and it was between this year and next year, it was a great opportunity.
I'll go for it now.
Right.
Dr. Sharon Gaber about to begin her third year as UT president, her third year of a 5-year contract.